I want to get to uplifting communities. What inspired you to create this community?
So it's interesting. You talked about my background, right? So I am an attorney, four-time entrepreneur, angel investor, speaker, and I just accepted a position to be an adjunct professor at Parsons University. But I didn't learn any of these skills before law school. And how many hundreds of thousands Black and brown people in New York City, let alone the millions around the world who have not been taught any of these skills, the skills that you really need to succeed in life. It was been on my heart for a while. And one of my friends, Jeff Lindor from the Gentleman's Factory, he actually told me, I plan to do this after I became wealthy. I wanted to go back, speak, do for free. Because one of the things I knew growing up, I wouldn't listen to somebody if I didn't feel like they were somebody I wanted to learn from. Right.
Yeah.
So that's how to develop rapport quickly. And he actually showed me there's a budget and there are schools that are actually looking to have long engagements on this. So that's where Uplift derived from. It was my want to give people the skills that I wish I had. And we're doing that with schools. We're doing that middle schools, high schools. We've done work with prisons, Rikers. We're on demand in Rikers, actually. So that's been great. And we've done some work with some jails around the city. However, one of the next things I want us to grow into is to work more with adult populations in general around entrepreneurship, leadership, and workforce development, because I'm very worried, especially in the Black and brown community, what's going to happen around AI, robotics, and automation. If we don't rapidly upskill, the poverty we experience now is going to seem like it was the good times if we look at it in 50 years. So I'm very worried about that. And I want to be part of the solution to making sure we don't have that dystopian future.
You guys provide financial literacy. Why do you think that's important?
This is interesting, right? In running my first business, I was working 18 to 20 hours a day trying to make this work. I was working myself into oblivion. And at some point, I realized that I need to start making my money work for me, right? And I thought it was in my business, but sometimes, and this is something I got from Ian Dunlap, sometimes you have to look at who's a better CEO than me? Who's a better leader than me? Let me see if I can invest in their company, right? If they have the right team around them, they have the right ego, they're driven, and they have the right product, let me invest in them, right? As well as I'm still doing my own thing. And that's what financial literacy came for me is, okay, what happens when I get sick? Is everything super dependent on my success? I'm betting on me, but I still want to bet on other things, right? Diversification is an amazing tool. I still want to bet on other things. So that's where it came from for me. On top of that, I think one of the words could be, you can be business wealthy and still lose money because you're not financially savvy, right? So that's another thing which we try to communicate. There's many different ways to gain wealth. It's not everything's through entrepreneurship. A lot of people have their 9-to-5s and they're able to become multimillionaires because of whether they're investing in real estate, whether they're angel investing, whether they invest in stock markets, whether they have a bond portfolio. There are many paths to wealth. So we're trying to educate people to find what's the best natural fit for them. And on that, just for everyone, I would highly suggest, there's a ton of great books, but I would highly suggest the book Psychology of Money, right? For everyone to go read The Psychology of Money. I don't think it's talked about enough, but I think that's a great book in terms of helping people understand that.
Why I ask that, because we don't really talk about money like that in our communities. And it's like a taboo. Me being an African, oh my God, we can't even truly talk about money. And then even African American here in the US, it's the same story, just keeps going. And I'm happy that you guys are taking that and running with it and educating our community in that way. I used to do it a lot for homeless shelters, for women especially. And it's so giving to people, because you'll be surprised what people are not aware of in terms, even like something like building their credit and yeah. So I'm curious, what does that look like for you guys when you're providing financial literacy aside from investing and all of that?
So like you said, budgeting, building credit, mindset. That's why I said mindset is so important in terms of why are we so afraid about talking about money, right? It's not talking about it going to increase our wealth. It's not. The more we talk about it, the more we educate each other. Okay, how much are you paid at that job? Wow, how much are you paid? We attach money too much as a value of who we are, right? Rather than maybe a measurement of what we're doing at this point in time. And if we're not sharing our financial data with each other, why do we think other people should share it with us and give us insights, right? If we're not getting insights from our own family. So we talk about that goal planning, vision. So one of the things, and I'm going to circle back to money because I think that's at the root cause of many things that's going on, both in the African community, in the African American community, and even in the Latino community as well, because we do a lot of work with the Latino community. It's this conception that, one, a fear of admitting that we don't have it. But two, I think a lot of us are programmed not to really go after money. in a way, or be open to say, hey, we want to become wealthy. And something, I wish I remember the gentleman's name, but I was watching something where he was talking about how we're programmed. We're programmed actually to disdain money from youth. So you have to be very mindful of what you're watching and what your children are watching. But he talked about how, if you look at it, the villain superheroes were usually, the villains in superhero movies or were usually rich people, right? And so what you think that is programming around in children, what you think that's programming is like this anti-wealth mentality. And if you don't like money or you think money is bad, you cannot truly go after it.